morning. For a very punctual German start at 11. Good morning, everyone. I, first of all, like to welcome you very much to Frankfurt and to the A2II's 10-year anniversary event. I hope you found your way here well this morning. We're actually in a very historic place, although it might not seem like that from the outside. This garden where we're at, right behind us, is actually one of Frankfurt's most beautiful botanical gardens or parks. And it was inaugurated in 1871. And the mother of Germany's most famous poet, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who was born in Frankfurt and who's basically the German equivalent of Shakespeare, I think one could say. His mother had an apple orchard right at what's now the north end of this park, long before the Palm Garden existed. So we're happy that you made it here from far away and that you brought such wonderful weather with you so that we can enjoy the beautiful terraces that we have here. And very warm welcome again. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anke Green. I'm part of the A2II team. And I will be leading you or guiding you through these next 2 days. Now, I'm very happy that I could be here today because I was actually sick last week. And so if my voice in between sounds a bit like a frog, please bear with me. I hope it'll hold up for the next 2 days. Now, before we kick off, we have a few housekeeping announcements. First of all, the Wi-Fi code, always very important. The network name is AII_guests. I'm sure you'll find that. And then the password is 10 years. And it's right on that slide as well. So that's always a good one. You can take the time now to type it into your phones. Being in Germany, we always take data protection very seriously. So for those of you who have not noticed that there are cameras in the room, I have to make you aware that we will be shooting video footage and there will also be some photography here. And there's a very good chance that you're going to feature in this or that you'll appear at some moment. So if for some reason you do not want to appear in it, and I do promise that we're not going to sell it, we won't give it away to third parties or do any illicit things with it, but if anyone does not want to appear in the videos, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave the room right now. Okay. I'm glad that no one's getting up. That's good. But so now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'll hand over to Hannah Grant, the head of the A2II Secretariat, to officially open the conference.
Thank you, Anke, and good morning, everybody. Distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, it's an absolute pleasure to be here in Frankfurt today and to be welcoming you to the A2I's 10-year anniversary celebrations. For an organisation that was set up as a 7-year project, this is truly a landmark occasion and a milestone, actually, which we would never have reached if it wasn't for the inspiration, support, and guidance provided by many of you in the room here with us today. The Access to Insurance Initiative was set up as a mission to support insurance supervisors in developing an enabling environment for greater financial inclusion. Although our approach has changed and our activities have evolved over the years, from knowledge generation in the early days to implementation and capacity building, a larger focus now, our overarching mission remains unchanged, along with our ultimate vision that more low-income and underserved people get access to good quality insurance. And indeed, I believe actually this is a mission that's probably shared by a majority of you actually in the room here with us today. So in 10 years, where did we come from? I mean, how have we evolved? Well, rather than hear it in my words, I would like to instead actually invite you to watch a short sort of teaser video. And this will actually be a video that will be available on the A2I's actually newly relaunched website. And this is from our sort of historical timeline. And this video features key figures in the A2I's development. And it'll be coming up on the screen, I hope, in a moment now.
When the A2I was founded in 2009, all of us firmly believed that this initiative will substantially contribute to the IIS's agenda on inclusive insurance.
I remember this as an amazing and highly motivating collaborative effort of a very committed small group of like-minded people and organizations. So we were all driven by a joint vision to promote access to inclusive insurance services and markets for the vulnerable sections of the poor in the developing countries world. We were all driven by the belief that regulation and supervision can play a critical role to remove barriers for quality financial services within growing, solid and sound and healthy markets.
We created the technical team really so that we could have a group that could focus on the technical issues. There was lots of other things going on at the time, mostly administrative. And so this group could really just review the technical work we were doing, the demands we were getting for technical input, and make sure that we had some sort of quality control and consistency in the way that we did things.
Two big reasons that we want to create the A2I. One is naturally a strong members' request, such as India, China, Latin America, African countries are very much keen on developing something to help microinsurance activities. So that's one reason that we are very much motivated to create A2I.
Well, there was a clear advantage of having the Access to Insurance initiative involved in our work as International Association of Insurance Supervisors. It allowed us to get input and information from a lot of people in the organisation with practical experience on the ground, who knew the problems, who knew what solutions would work and which solutions would not work. It was a clear signal that for the IIS, inclusive insurance, financial inclusion was on the agenda and it mattered. As far as I'm concerned, it's been a great journey so far.
In hindsight, we can now see how truly groundbreaking the collaboration was between IAIS and the development community at its inception. For the first time, a global standard-setting body was methodically taking stock of how financial inclusion matters to its core mandate and vice versa. It's taken nearly a decade for the other standard setters to catch up fully with IAIS's early leadership, but it is very gratifying that they have done so.
We see a much more important role in future for the Access to Insurance initiative, not only in the risk protection space, but also now in terms of improving access of insurance to the last mile by putting in place financial technology and bringing down the transaction cost of insurance for the large majority.
And I think if we think back to what happened 5 years ago and we think forward, A2II is now on the threshold of, and I think because the insurance industry is on the threshold of an even bigger revolution, where new ways of data analytics, new business models, new ways of doing underwriting will change the sector even more than what we saw in the run-up to that critical symposium in 2014.
And I know now in my role as the Secretary General, I may be biased in my support for the A2II, but I think I speak on behalf of the whole of the IIS that the A2II has become a firm, strong and trusted partner.
And as the A2II is celebrating its 10th anniversary, the IIS is celebrating its 25th this year. And with that comes a pivot from standard setting to standard implementation. And I look forward to what the partnership between the IIS and the A2I will bring over the next years.
The first 10 years of the A2I have clearly been a success story. However, the success was only possible because of the combined efforts from our charter members, donors and stakeholders, through the support from my fellow supervisors, who constantly make sure that we really meet the needs of insurance supervisors. And last but not least, to the highly committed, hard-working and continuously innovative Secretariat team.
So insurance is a complex field, and but it is very much worth, for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, to give dignity to the people and to have them get entitlements. So I wish you all the best for the coming years, and please keep on the good works. Thank you.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that short snippet, and I would encourage you to have a look on our website, because there are actually many other people who also kindly gave their time to take part in this historical timeline video. So drawing on what we've learned over the last 10 years and to inform the agenda for this conference, we're also delighted to be launching today a new publication, which is A2I 10 years on. I think you probably saw this on the table as you came in, and I'd encourage people to go and pick up a copy. This publication takes a step back and looks at the forces that have shaped inclusive insurance regulation over the last 10 years. It looks at what the supervisory community has achieved and also draws some lessons from this for the future. During the first panel after lunch, my A2I colleague and the paper's actually main author, Quilin Chu, will cover some of the main themes actually emerging from this publication during her introductory presentation to her panel. So when the A2I was established, only 6 supervisory authorities, this is back in 2009, had adapted their regulatory frameworks to support greater financial inclusion. Now, 48 different authorities have or are in the process of adapting their regulations. So this is a lot of collective knowledge. So I'm therefore actually very excited to have here in the room with us today many supervisors with first-hand experience in developing and implementing inclusive insurance regulations, as well as our development partners and industry players who have supported or been subject to the regulations on the ground. Attending the conference today, we have 27 supervisors from 19 different countries, and actually in total in the room, 29 different countries represented. So looking forward over the next couple of days, I think we have a really unique opportunity for expert exchange on inclusive insurance supervision, and a chance to really reflect on what has worked well over the last 10 years and maybe where the challenges remain or are arising. So as head of the Secretariat at the A2I, I'm really excited to be part of this discussion and really look forward to what the next couple of days will bring. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Hannah. I'd now like to hand over to Peter Braumueller for his welcoming words. Peter is Managing Director of Insurance and Pension Supervision at the Austrian Financial Markets Authority, and since 2017, the chair of the A2II Governing Council and Executive Committee. He is also chair of the IAS Implementation Committee and was previously chair of the IAS Executive Committee for 6 years.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anke. I would like to express a warm welcome to all of you at the occasion of this 10-year anniversary conference of the A2I. The people involved in the A2I are very well known for working hard to let us progress our mission, setting up consultation calls, responding to supervisors' requests, organizing meetings and training events, preparing the next innovation lab, designing the new ICP self-assessment portal, planning the funding for the future, thinking about new formats for our activities, and I could certainly go on for a while. But all of that should be put on hold for today and tomorrow. Now it is time to celebrate, to look back and to look ahead, to talk about our achievements, to share experience and exchange ideas about the future, and to meet friends of the inclusive insurance community. This year marks both the 10th anniversary of the initiation of the A2I and the 25th anniversary of the establishment of the IAS, which brings me back to this very memorable moment in October 2009 at the IAS annual conference in Rio. At that time, I was chair of the IAS Executive Committee, and I still remember how excited I was about the inaugural event when we were cutting the tape on stage to officially launch the initiative. Of course, I could not foresee the A2I's future, but I was fully convinced that it will make its way, because all of us firmly believed that this initiative can substantially contribute to the IS agenda on inclusive insurance. I recognize quite a few familiar faces here in the room today who were among those who have believed in this project from the very beginning and were convinced that this idea would become a reality and produce solid and tangible results. And I have to say that all of them look the same as 10 years ago. So I can conclude that dedicating yourself to inclusive insurance keeps you young and energetic. It was 10 years ago when a group of members of the IS-MIN Joint Working Group, a body established by the IS and the CGAP Working Group on Microinsurance and its Regulation, Supervision and Policy Group, founded the A2II. The founding partners were the IS, BMZ, CGAP, the ILO, and Finmark Trust, also known as the A2I Charter sponsors. The A2I started as a project with a limited time span. Hannah has referred to it already. After having completed its initial term, the A2I moved into the second phase in 2014, and in July last year we have already started phase 3. And we are thinking on how we can make the A2I more sustainable, because we recognize there's still so much to do. We were all driven by the belief that regulation and supervision can play a critical role to remove barriers for the provision of high-quality financial services within fair, safe, and sound markets, which would allow to meet the demands for insurance, also for the underserved part of the population. And we also believe that regulators and supervisors should take the driver's seat and promote or facilitate change in their jurisdictions. In that way, the IS has been a critical leverage point, bringing together supervisors from more than 140 jurisdictions of the world and taking the role to facilitate, to support, and to provide experts. With that, we were able to trigger awareness, learning, and, very importantly, implementation and practical application at the level of jurisdictions, with the supervisors being in a critical role. 2009 was also the year when G20 first became involved in financial inclusion. With the creation of the G20 Financial Inclusion Experts Group, the topic of financial inclusion was among the first to be included in the G20 Multi-Year Action Plan on Development. Today, the A2I continues to support the IS in its global agenda by also contributing to the G20's work. As a key implementation partner of the IS, the A2I's mission is to strengthen the capacity and understanding of supervisors to facilitate the promotion of inclusive and responsible insurance, thereby reducing vulnerability. The A2I engaged in the drafting of some early issues papers on microinsurance, regulation and supervision, which resulted in the publication of an application paper on regulation and supervision supporting inclusive insurance markets in 2012. This paper is still regarded as a key source of guidance on inclusive insurance supervision today. Over the past decade, the A2I has contributed to 12 IS guidance and issues papers for supervisors and has been a significant contributor to the Financial Inclusion Working Group. In this context, let me stress the importance of the strong link between the A2I and the IS. As the key implementation partner of the IS on inclusive insurance, we need to properly understand the demands and capacity building needs of supervisors to be able to meet their expectations. Today, we can see how crucially important the collaboration between the IS and the development community was. Through the A2I, the IS has been a frontrunner among the international standard-setting bodies in the area of financial inclusion. Over time, the A2I has developed a series of different toolkits and formats to meet the needs of supervisors, and those include, just to mention two, the consultation calls and the innovation lab. In 2018, for example, we set 6 different consultation calls, each conducted in English, French, and Spanish, in which 325 supervisors from 62 different jurisdictions participated. And as a new multi-stakeholder pilot tool, the Inclusive Insurance Innovation Lab was organized for the first time in 2018. Here we worked with 4 different country teams to first help them to identify barriers to insurance market growth before looking at potential solutions and implement their own objectives. The call for the second lab has just been launched. We provide the knowledge that supervisors need to regulate and supervise insurance markets in a manner that promotes greater access to insurance for low-income consumers, while at the same time building on international standards and maintaining an appropriate level of policyholder protection. We are continuously thinking about new formats and tools to keep pace with the changing supervisory demand. We facilitate peer exchange and dialogue through innovative platforms. We advocate for inclusive insurance as a development tool in national and international processes. We also disseminate knowledge and build awareness on the development of inclusive insurance markets. Colleagues, I'm really happy and very honored to be the chair of such a wonderful initiative. Nowadays, when I take the train to Eschborn to meet the Secretariat team at the GRZ premises, I'm equally excited as I was in 2009. I know that they will have again lots of ideas to move the A2I forward, and it's a pleasure for me to work with this highly committed and innovative team. And as I mentioned before, working for inclusive insurance keeps me young and energetic. The first 10 years of the A2I have been a success story, and we would like to thank all people and institutions that have contributed to our success, and at the end of the day, we will have a chance to do that more thoroughly. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 years ago, we started with a clear vision, and today we still firmly believe in this vision. Recently, our vision has been formally included in the preamble of the A2I Charter. It reads, the A2I has the vision that more poor and vulnerable people have access to and use of affordable insurance appropriate to their needs. However, this vision is not only in our papers, it is in our hearts. We strongly believe that what we are doing is not only our job, but our commitment, dedication, and responsibility. And it is important for society, for economy, and for financial stability. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, thank you very much for joining us to celebrate A2I's 10th birthday. For today and tomorrow, I wish all of us an interesting conference and a great birthday party tonight. Thank you.